My brother and sister, my brother Steve is 8 years older than I am, and my sister Pammy is 7 years older. And when I was just a little tiny number, the two of them together on this bike, and it was this two-wheeler, magnificent. It had the fat tires, you know, with the wide fenders that covered it, and the blue and white chevron striping, and it had, it had the plump white seat right there. Oh, that was the coolest bike. And I would be out, you know, just kind of riding along on my little hand-me-down tricycle. And I'd just be kind of putting around there. And then one of them, or both of them, would come zipping by me. And I'd pump, try to catch up. And then they'd come the other way and they'd zip back. And I'd stop and pick up my tricycle and turn it around, and I'd pump. And I never could catch them, but you know, it didn't matter. I loved that bike. Well, we were older, as we grew a little bit older, Mom and Dad gave both Pam and Steve their own brand new two-wheelers, and they were the stylish kind with the really skinny tires and the thin fenders. Remember those real skinny ones? And I was given a new tricycle, but what I wanted was that bike with the fat tires. Well, my mom and dad knew this, so they said, okay, Lenny, now when both of your feet touch both pedals at the same time, then you can have that bike. And so they stored it in the garage, and there they leaned it up against the garage wall. And every once in a while, I'd go out and wind my way through all the things that were cluttered around there, and I would very carefully climb up on the bike and slide my leg down, and I wanted to make sure it was against that wall so it wouldn't fall, and then I would pretend I was riding my bike. And this went on for quite some time until I was, well, let's see, I was 7 years old, and it was the day before Thanksgiving. I went down to the garage, I climbed up on that bike, slid my leg down, and both feet touched both pedals. Oh, I was so excited. I ran into the house, into the kitchen. I said, Mom, they touch. And she said, oh, that's nice. And I said, no, both of my feet, they touch at the same time. And somehow she actually figured out what I was talking about. And she said, okay, well, Lenny, we need to clean the bike up, so give us some time to clean it up, and then the bike's yours. Well, the day after Thanksgiving, I went out to check on my bike, and it was gone. I mean, it was not there, but tacked up on the wall where it had been was a note addressed to me. And it was a note from Maynard, the head elf of the bike department up at the North Pole. And he was informing me that this bike, they were using elfin magic, they had whisked it up to the North Pole where they're going to fix it up and Santa was going to bring it back. You know, any doubt I had about the existence of Santa Claus just went right there. Well, finally, Christmas morning came. I ran out to the living room, and there it was. And the elves did a wonderful job. They did. They had taken all of the dents out and the rust out, and they painted it with red and white chevron striping, and put a new plump seat. It even had a bell on it. I just stood back and just wanted to take it in, and so I started at the front, and I so admired just kind of panning across the flows and the design of it until I reached the back tire, the wheel there, and there sticking out of the middle of it was this rod with these two little miniature tires that looked like they hadn't fully evolved yet, kind of like the forearms of a Trontosaurus Rex. And I said, what are those? And my mom said, well, those are training wheels, and they'll help you keep you from falling while you learn to get your balance. And I said, well, take them off. And then my brother Steve said, I had training wheels when I was my first two-wheeler. Well, I figured if he could do it, I could do it. When we lived in California, that meant fog for Christmas. So we put on our sweatshirts, we put on our sweaters, the whole family went out for the launch, went down to the driveway, held up the bike. My dad was holding up the bike, and I was a little nervous because I didn't have the garage wall there anymore. But Dad said, just climb on up, and I did. And he said, now don't worry, because the training wheels will keep you from falling. And I said, well, don't let go. And he said, I'm just right behind you. Just start pedaling. So I started pedaling. And I said, don't let go. And he just did, I'm right here. And he could hear him, and I could hear him. And then suddenly I felt him let go. And the instant he let go, that bike dipped to the left, and then tap, it came up. And then it dipped to the right, and tap, it popped up. And it's tap, 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 tap. And I thought, these training wheels are fantastic. I love these things. Well, it must have been the year of the bike, because every kid in the neighborhood had a new two-wheeler with training wheels. And for the first few weeks, it was so fun. We would ride up and down the block in single file on the far side of the road, because our mothers insisted we had to be there like that, so all that traffic that never came down our road wouldn't hit us. And according to my mom, the side of the road started in the middle of the gutter. So I was a little bit further over than anyone, and I always kind of had to ride at a slant there, this big angle. And we would wobble back and forth and back and forth. It was wonderful. And then Cindy Faulkner, she had her dad take her training wheels off of her bike. And the rest of us were wobbling in our little line, and she zipped past us. And I could see her ride really fast at the end of the block, and then she turned around and she glided back, and I could hear her giggle. You know, I never really liked Cindy Faulkner. And then about a week later, Dave Karp, he had his dad take his training wheels off. And then Beth Cavern, and then Mike Faulkner, Cindy's younger brother, he's younger than me. His training wheels came off. And just week after week, the training wheels were coming off of bike after bike, except for one. I just couldn't get my balance. I mean, I worked at it. Oh, I'd get on my bike, and my dad would say, just sit up straight, Liddy, sit up straight, just hold it up, hold it up. And he'd run along beside me, giving me all these instructions, and I'd be working and going back and forth. And my brother Steve, he'd say, relax, you'll find your balance, it will come, kind of the zen of riding a two-wheeler. But as hard as I worked to find my inner balance, it just wasn't coming. And this went on, and to make things even worse was because I'd spent so much time in the gutter, I'd had all that torque on that right wheel. So it developed a squill. So then it was tap, tap, squill, tap, squill, tap, squill. This went on until June. I was sitting on the front lawn in my cutoffs, my favorite Mickey Mouse t-shirt, and all my friends, they all rode by on their bikes, and I was like, hi. And I looked over at my bike that I dropped in a heap, and I knew. I mean, it just somehow, I knew. So I walked over to my dad. He was working in the yard. And I said, Dad, take them off. He said, are you sure? I said, take them off. And so while he went to get his tools, my brother Steve, as if he sensed that something was about to happen, he came outside, and I can remember him clearly sitting on the top step overlooking the driveway in the lotus position. Yes, little cricket, now your time has come. Well, Dad took the training wheels off of my bike, and he held it up, and all of a sudden, I was a little nervous. And then I thought, no, I can do this. I can do this. So I climbed up, and I said, don't let go. And Dad said, I'm right behind you. So you just start pedaling. So I started pedaling, and I said, don't let go. He said, I'm right behind you. Don't let go. I'm right behind you. Don't let go. I'm right behind you. Don't let go. I'm right behind you. And at that point, I realized he was a half a block behind me. And as soon as I realized that bike dipped to the left, and then, as if on its own, it popped up and I was slicing this straight line down the road without the garage wall, without my dad, without the training wheels. I had my own balance, and I was making my own way. Well, I figured I'd never need training wheels again, but of course I was wrong. There's lots of training wheels that I've used in life. It's, you know, my parents and brothers and sisters and my teachers, friends. But the next time I needed those particular type of training wheels was when our son, Daniel, he received his first two-wheeler. And as I stood on the driveway, watching him wobble away from me in that shiny little black and silver bike, those funny little wheels sticking out in the back, I knew that he is having the freedom to find his own balance. He's making his own way.